Okay, we previous time took first read and we finished first read of Grapes of Wrath, Unit 3, Chapter 10. So today we take its second read, Grapes of Wrath. Okay,
Page
we
what?
open 208. 208. Okay, I'll open the presentation and share it with you. Why I feel so cold? Huh? What is the temperature? It's 16, but yet I feel cold. I don't know why.
16.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
It's actually 14.
14 updated.
Yeah, feels like 10.
Because it was 14 when I updated, it comes to me 16. I even wore a jacket. Okay. I shared the PowerPoint here. You see the PowerPoint? Yes, hi Sham.
Hi, Miss.
Okay, you see the PowerPoint, girls?
Yes.
Yes, second read. Okay, there were questions that we want to discuss. Okay, who's awake? Who's awake? Okay, yeah. Read the question.
Me?
Yes.
What rhetorical device does Steinbeck use in paragraph 2, lines 15 to 25? What is the effect? Provide
Yes,
examples.
so go to 1525 and read the lines, and other girls read it silently with Hood. Yes.
And then suddenly the machines pushed them out and they swarmed on the highways. The movement changed them, the highways, the camps along the road, the fear of hunger and the hunger itself changed them. The children without dinner changed them, and the endless moving changed them. They were migrants, and the hostility changed them, welded them, united them. Hostility that made the little towns group and
Okay,
arms.
wait, Yehuda. Sham Aqil, how many times them is repeated here? Sham? How many times them is repeated? You do you have your book, Hisham? طب شام حرفان؟ شام حسن. Sham
Yes.
Hassan, right? Sham Hassan
Yeah.
حرفان صح? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Read, how many times the them is repeated here, Hisham?
Can you repeat the question?
How many times Huda read them now? Them, the word them.
I don't know. I wasn't counting.
Count. Go through the lines and count.
Okay.
Sham. Sham. Okay, Huda, how many times you repeated them?
8 times.
8
Until now.
times. So, what did he use here again? What did he do here again? He repeated
Repetition.
repetition.
And
He
short
repeated
sentences.
yes, and short sentences, yes. And strong words like what?
Hostility, welded.
Yes, hostility, hunger.
Welded, yes.
Yes, so he even repeated hostility, hunger, highways, right?
Yes.
So what is the rhetorical device he used?
He used repetition.
Yes, repetition, Yusarina. And why we use repetition, Yusarina? Why an author uses repetition?
To emphasize on something.
Excellent. To emphasize its meaning. Emphasize its meaning. Yes, so read it, Yusarina. Read the answer.
Steinbeck uses repetition of phrases and words in paragraph 2. The phrase changed them is repeated 5 times. The word them is repeated 8 times, and the word highways, hunger, and hostility each are repeated twice. This repetition gives emphasis and connects these words. It amplifies Steinbeck's message that migrants are suffering and in dire straits.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Huda. Thank you, Serena. Question 2. Serene. Okay,
Yes,
Lini
teacher.
Ilhan.
It
Serene
calling-
here. Read the question. Yes.
In the first paragraph, Steinbeck wrote that highways were streams of people, and the highways streamed with moving people. In the last paragraph, he wrote the people moved like ants and cheered for work, for food. What is the effect of this figurative language?
Mm.
Wait, teacher, let me think about it.
Okay. In the first paragraph, Serene, focus with me and you will know the answer. He wrote highways were, on the highways were streams of people. Then the highways streamed with moving people. Yani first people. Then streamed with moving people. And then he told in the last paragraph, he wrote, the people moved like ants and searched for work, for food. So here, what is happening? He wants to show you what?
How many?
The illusion.
Not illusion, no. Here, what happens? The street, people fill the street. The street was full of moving people. The people moved like ants and searched for work. The problem is getting...
Because they were starving.
Yes, the problem is
They
getting
were
what?
desperate.
Yes, because the problem is getting what?
Food.
Huh?
Food.
The problem was getting
Work,
food.
food.
No, it was the problem itself was getting solved.
No.
So the problem, what was happening to the problem here?
It's like using metaphor.
Yes, to show what happens to the problem itself.
Yes.
Is it solved?
No.
It is what?
It's not solved.
So it is worse,
Oh yes.
right?
And it's still going.
Yes, but it is getting worse. Not only still,
Yes.
it is getting worse. At the beginning, people were in the street. Then moving people filled the streets. Then moved like ants. So it is getting worse. Read the answer,
Yes.
Serene.
It creates the impression of an endless, overwhelming number of poor, hopeless people, who have been reduced to a vermin-like status.
Yes. Okay. So here, girls, in the second read, he wants to discuss with you repetition, allusion, and ascendaton. We discussed in the academic vocabulary in the first period of this unit. Okay, repetition, we've just said repetition is what? To do what, girls?
Repeat.
Repeat the word, repeat a phrase, repeat a clause, repetition. Why do an author uses repetition? To emphasize the meaning. Then we took the allusion. Allusion is a reference. Allusion is a reference, okay? It's on page 208. Can you read allusion, Hisham?
Yeah.
It is on page 208.
Yeah, I have the page open. Referencing something outside of the work itself, such as another literary work, allusions often add significance to the work by pulling in the reader's prior connections to the alluded to work. For instance, the Bible's book of Revelations has been connected with the grapes of wrath, as has the Battle of the Republic by Julia Ward Howe.
So as we said before, allusion when a woman says about her husband or fiance, he is a Romeo, he takes us to Romeo and Juliet, so we understand that Romeo, it means she is a romantic person. Okay, when we talk about Superman, when you say she's a superwoman, it takes you an allusion to the literature of story or novel of Superman or Superwoman, so we understand what they want to say. And then the ascendaton, thank you, Hisham. Ghala? Ghala? Okay, now Ghala's not here. Tia?
Yes, miss.
Read يا Tia, ascendaton.
I read what, miss?
Ascendaton, it is on page 208.
Yeah, I'm on this page.
Ascendaton is the third or the last column of the table.
I just realized, sorry. Ascendaton, the omission of a conjunction, such as and or as, from a series of related clauses. This technique accelerates the passage and or points to the significance of the connection between these clauses. Look at same sentence construction.
Yes, so please underline or highlight it. Okay, accelerates the passage and points to the significance of connection between these clauses, because we understand now. Ascendaton is I played, I ran, I won. Why? To show what we're not using and.
There's
I
no
only
conjunctions.
Yes, no conjunction. Why he uses this technique to accelerate the passage and points to the significance of the connection between these in a series. So what we took now, the repetition, allusion, ascendaton, we want to apply them to the text to find them where they are used in the text. Okay, so continue reading, Yateya, the slide in front of you.
After reading this one? After reading
Yes.
chapter. After reading chapter 21 again, record the examples of rhetorical techniques or literary devices in the following chart. You can use the ones in the chart on page 208 to find examples of other techniques.
Yes, so number one, name of technique. Can you find any of repetition, allusion, ascendaton, yateya in the text?
Miss, in any of the text or in a specific page?
No, the excerpt that we read, Grapes of Wrath.
Yeah.
Can you find repetition or allusion or ascendaton?
Men of property.
What men of property will be what?
On line 26.
Yes, it is what? Yani a repetition or metaphor or allusion or ascendaton or what?
It's repetition.
Line what?
Line 26. No, on 27, Miss, men of property.
Miss, I want to go to the bathroom.
Go. So men of property.
Yeah, the line that starts with men of property, they repeat it.
Yes. Repeat the word what? Men.
Men, yeah.
Yes. So yes, they repeat men here, then men who had never been, and then men who had never wanted, and the men of the towns. Excellent. It is a repetition here. Yes, so write it, please. Repetition. Write it in your page, book, girls, 209. As Tia said, men from the line 27 till 9. What here, Tia? So in name of technique, you write repetition, Yatia. In examples from line what to line what?
From line 27 till line 29.
Yes, more than
No,
29.
line
31.
Yes, yes, and you write repetition of the word men.
So, Miss, what will the effect be?
Yes, but this is what I want to know. What is the effect of repetition? We've just said it. And it's even here written for you on page 208. The effect of repetition is to do what? Effect of repetition is to do what?
To emphasize something?
Excellent, to emphasize. Okay, so here he brought for you another example. Okay, but you brought examples, and there are other examples that Huda have just said, which is change them, hostility, cruelty in this. But all the repetition is used for what?
To emphasize.
To emphasize. Excellent. To emphasize. Thank you, Taya. Leia.
Yes, answer.
Yes, please. Okay, but let's see. Leia is here.
Miss
Okay.
Leia's computer is updating عشان
Okay.
يمكن تتأخر.
Linda.
Yes.
Who said I want to answer? Linda, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
I have an example of ascended tone.
Yes, please.
It's from line 91 till 94.
From 91 to 94. He made ascended tone for what?
What do you mean?
Yani, what is the conjunction he omitted?
And.
Yes. Ascended tone is the omission of conjunction, and the example, so the name of the technique, okay, ascended tone. Example from the text, from line 91 till line 95, omitting and. Why it is used ascended tone, Linda?
To shorten the sentences and to make it, to make the point more clear.
Yes, excellent. To point to the significance of the connection between the clauses. Again, and it is written for you here, showing the significance of the connection between these clauses. Okay? Are you with me?
From line what to what?
Say them again, Yalinda.
From line 91 till 95.
Yes. Lujain, can you find any literary device?
I found repetition.
But we said repetition and we said ascended tone.
Allusion then.
Where is it? Yes.
I found another ascended tone.
Okay, where is it?
Lines 80 to 81.
Excellent. So write it also with the examples from the text, ascended tone from 80 to 81. Okay. Okay. Who's answering me before Nirvana talks? Lujay.
I did not find an allusion.
Okay. Listen, he brought for you other techniques, other devices, literary devices. He brought for you alliteration. Alliteration is a repetition of a consonant sound. Alliteration is a repetition of the same consonant sound. Okay, consonant letter, consonant sound. I will say it to you because we didn't discuss it while we were reading. Here, when you said postals of Pellagra, P and P, and it is alliteration, repetition of P. Okay? Why do an author uses alliteration? Because this adds to the multiplying effect of lengthy. And hyperbolic, what is hyperbolic? I would tell you after a minute. Description, and also is suggestive to the discomfort of the conditions. Okay? Here, hyperbole is to exaggerate. Exaggerate. So alliteration is repetition of the consonant sound in the same clause.
But can I go to the bathroom?
Yes, repetition of the consonant sound in the same clause. This adds to the multiplying effect of lengthy. Okay. We said lengthy hyperbolic description. So there is an hyperbole. There is a hyperbole. Hyperbole is exaggeration. Exaggeration. Who can give me an exaggeration, hyperbole, exaggeration?
The text about ants we just mentioned.
Yes, yes, great. When he said that crowd of people, can you tell me which line, Dima? At the last paragraph.
Yes, line 94.
Yes.
93 and 94.
Yes, so this is a hyperbole that ends in this. Okay. Actually, in hyperbole, he brought for you another example, which is, I will show you here. And the hostility changed them, welded them, united them. Hostility that made the little towns group and arm as through to repel and invade. It is also hyperbole. Okay. What is more here important here to know the effect of hyperbole. Hyperbole's effect is to raise the stakes of the conflict and help create greater tension. When you fight with your friend and then you exaggerate it, why? Because you want to create greater tension. No, don't say that to me. It is greater tension, creating greater tension. Okay. Then because I showed it to you, he used the metaphor. He used the hunger was in their eyes. Metaphor is to compare two things that are not alike without using as or like. So here he said hunger within their eyes. It is a metaphor because he said that they did it. Okay, he didn't say as hunger as or like. Okay, their eyes were like hungry or something. No, or like hunger, eyes like hunger. No. I said hunger was in their eyes, so it's a metaphor. Why he uses metaphor? It creates a sense of how deep the hunger is. Okay? Are you with me, girls? So repetition, alliteration, metaphor, hyperbole. The last one he mentioned is opposites. Who can tell me a very shown sentence here he used opposites? Opposites. When something good, it becomes better and something becomes bad. Gets better,
Right.
gets worse.
When we talked about the granaries, they make jars and stuff that they
Yes.
benefit the opportunists
Yes.
while the people suffer.
So what's raised up? What went down?
Prices went up, wages went down.
Yes, wages went down, prices went up. This is the opposites. Wages went down and prices stayed up. This each element emphasizes the other because when we mention opposites, we say opposites, so they emphasize each other. When there is white and black, they show each other. Okay? So again, girls, we took opposites, hyperbole, metaphor, alliteration, and repetition. Here, repetition and alliteration. Alliteration, repetition of the same consonant sound. Metaphor. Okay, the effect is more important, girls. Repetition effect is one to emphasize. Alliteration to add to the multiplying length and a hyperbolic sentence. Metaphor to show this meaning or the deep of hunger. Hyperbole to create great tension. Opposites is to mention opposites because each element emphasizes the other. You understand grade 11?
Yes.
You have homework today, page 209. So I will create the online assignment after we finish. What will you write? A paragraph. A paragraph of the table that we've just answered together now. Are you with me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So you understand, girls, the second read?
Yes. Yes.
Ghala is not here. Ragad is not here. لا Ragad, Ghala.
I have a question.
Yes, please, Sham.
About the homework. I don't understand what exactly we should do.
Write a paragraph in which you
About what?
analyze the effect of one of the techniques that Steinbeck used in chapter 21. So you use repetition, or do you use alliteration, or you use metaphor, or hyperbole, or opposites. You use any of them, any of these. You use only one, you take one, you choose one, and you talk about it. Identify how this technique contributes to one possible theme of the story. So how any of these techniques is related to the theme of the story? What is the theme of the story?
Okay.
The meaning of the story is what the hunger and hard conditions that the Orcas have faced. And the theme, but the theme was the main question, was the land of opportunities, the land of opportunists. So here, which one here assures me the theme? Which one is so strong, like a hyperbole, when he said the raises the hostility changed them, the hostility that made Little Town Group and this, or the metaphor, hunger was like was in their eyes. So which way of this, or repetition, to emphasize the meaning of what? Meaning of what? That the land of opportunities is not for the land of normal people. It is only the land of dreams of opportunists only. Okay, so again, he says to you, the theme of the story, man's inhumanity to man. Man's inhumanity to man, like those Californian people who didn't want to accept the Okies. It was inhumane to them. They didn't treat them equally. They didn't treat them fairly. They didn't give them chances. They of them. They hated them. They said they are animals. They are and they are and they are. They didn't welcome them. Historical. Okay, so this is also analyze how the. I'm telling you the homework on page 209. How the social, historical, and economic setting contribute into this theme. Social because at that time there were the Okies and there were the Californian, and the Okies were poor, the Californian were some of them were rich and others were struggling also to have their food. Historical, the Dust Bowl was the reason, and the Great Depression was the reason, and this is what we are going to watch next period. Okay, because each story historically and socially and economically affects the theme of the unit. Got me, Sham?
Yes.
So this is your homework, girls. Please, you write it. And okay. There are videos I want to show I prepared for you, but I'll start one of them now.
Yes, we can see your screen.
I am sure.
As the Dust Bowl made life increasingly difficult for those living in the Central Plains, many people decided to abandon their homes in search of new opportunities. Who were these people? Where did they go? Many left the Dust Bowl region in favor of trying to find a job in the city. Others decided to leave the area altogether. Most of those who left had a common destination: California. Writers of the era observed that the highways between Oklahoma and California resembled a parade, with a continuous string of cars heading west. Others compared it to the gold rush of 1849, with millions of migrants moving in search of a fresh start. In 1934 alone, Oklahoma lost more than 400,000 people. That same year, Kansas lost over 200,000. The Plains states as a whole experienced a loss of 2.5 million residents. Oklahoma suffered the most in terms of population loss. Other states lost 3% or 4% of their population, but some estimates claim that Oklahoma lost as much as 18% of its total population. Not all of the Dust Bowl refugees were from Oklahoma, but because so many of them were, the Californians had a nickname for all of them. They called them Okies. Journalist Ben Reddick first used the term Okie in his articles after noticing the OK abbreviation on many of the migrant license plates. Most of these Okies were heading to California because they thought they could find jobs picking fruit. After all, California supplied nearly half of the fresh fruit for the entire country. However, there were multiple downsides to this occupation. First, there were far more workers than were needed. With such a surplus of laborers, employers could pay extremely low wages, especially since there was no minimum wage at the time. Additionally, many jobs only lasted 2 or 3 days, at which point the worker needed to move on to the next location in order to find more work. This forced the Okies into a migratory lifestyle, constantly moving on to the next orchard, grove, or vineyard. Given the migrant lifestyle and low pay, the Okies lived a very hard, unpleasant life. They were looked down upon by Californians, and many towns refused to permit them entrance. They were forced to live outside the communities in makeshift villages of shacks and other poorly built shelters. These places became known as Little Oklahomas because these communities were filthy with little proper sanitation and no running water. Diseases such as typhus and diphtheria became widespread. To help expose the plight of the Okies, a writer named John Steinbeck wrote a book in 1939 titled The Grapes of Wrath. This novel told the story of Tom Joad and his family as they traveled from Oklahoma to California and their hardships once they arrived. Eventually, the U.S. government attempted to help the Okies living in California. Camps were organized to provide better toilet and bathing facilities as well as community cooking areas and laundry rooms. By 1941, there were 13 of these camps across California, with about 45,000 people living in them. The nickname Okie was originally used by Californians as an insult. In The Grapes of Wrath, the main character, Tom Joad, observed, "Okie means you're scum." However, in modern times, many people from Oklahoma have embraced the nickname and used it with pride, just as a Hoosier from Indiana or a Yankee from New England uses those nicknames.
Okay, we'll stop here and come after 5 minutes to continue. Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, Grace.